Welcome back to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Your host, Tomas Keenan, and I am hanging out in the home office today in wonderful Dallas, Texas. And I was just talking about the weather with my guest today, Mr. Joe Rare. And I don't know, it was 60, 66 degrees, something like that this morning here. And it's probably going to be close to 90 in the afternoon. And Joe's like, man, that shit's too damn warm for me. I'm from Montana. Welcome, man. I appreciate you being here. This is a good chance for us to connect and learn about each other and also do it in a public setting. And I get to learn about you and your businesses and the things that you're into and that you offer, which I think is pretty cool. I like to tell a lot of my guests here, if you're at this point in time and you're actually having the conversation with me, you've gone through all of our hoops and you've made it through the process, because we're pretty picky and stringent with who we allow in here. Because, this is now, I think, the 5th year I'm doing this. And like, I've had some people in here in the past, unfortunately, that weren't the best guests.
Right.
And I want to deliver a good experience to those who are the valuable listeners who keep coming back and listening to the show to support me and support you and whatever stuff we got going on in the future. So welcome. Congratulations. Appreciate you being here. And I'm just hoping we have a great conversation.
Oh, I'm sure we will. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So Montana, man, tell me about it. Born and raised, did you move there? You transplant?
Yeah, no, transplant. I mean, I've lived all over. So I'm originally from Northern California, small
Sorry to hear that.
ranch town. And then, but I've lived all over. I lived in Colorado, lived in Washington, just, I've been in many places and decided, at that kind of as COVID kicked off, it was time for something different for my family and my kids. And we kind of looked at a bunch of different places, considered a lot. And then I always kind of said, man, I'd love to live in Montana. And so showed my wife and she said, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so here we are.
It's awesome, man. I hate to admit this and I hate to admit it publicly, but I'm a transparent kind of guy. I've never been to Montana.
Oh, you gotta come.
And I'm ripping to go. I really am. Yeah. I like the outdoors. I like everything about the outdoors, and Montana, it just seems to me like it's the mecca for the outdoor lifestyle.
Yeah. All things outdoors. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is that you like, it's here. Yeah. I mean, aside from us, being landlocked and no ocean, that'd be the only thing that you could complain about, but everything else is here.
Yeah. Love it. You like the outdoors? You went to hunting, fishing, that kind of stuff?
Oh yeah. So no, I mean, like I said, everything outdoors, like so we homeschool our kids, and one of my daughters does a hybrid and she goes to a farm school. And today they did a hiking trip. And so my wife, I just heard them come home. They just got back from a hiking trip as like a field trip for the school. So it's pretty sweet. I mean, and then in the winter I snowmobile. So I spend an ungodly amount of time on the mountain. Yeah. And so, it's the best. Montana is where it's at.
Love it.
Yeah. But we're full. Nobody else can come here. We're full.
Yeah. All right. So business wise, you got a couple things going on, right? I mean, and I'll let you dive into them, but are your businesses physical locations where you have to be there, push buttons, pull levers, or everything's done remotely?
Everything's remote.
All right.
So my claim to fame, my kind of core claim is that I build businesses that are run by virtual assistants.
Okay.
So I am as remote, like focused as possible. Everything I do, we outsource. Okay. Everything.
How did this come about? How did you learn about it? And how did you implement a system that actually works? Because a lot of people talk about this, and I've seen very few people who actually are able to pull it off.
It's so I first learned about outsourcing through Tim Ferriss and the 4-Hour Workweek. Yep. And then I built a business out of that book. And I sat down at my kitchen table every single day, page by page. I did every single thing in the book. Built a business, hired virtual assistants overseas. They ran the business. I had a fulfillment center for my products because it was an e-commerce business, and it worked. It worked really, really well. And then the only one piece of advice I didn't follow in the book was not to sell ingestibles, because there's a lot of things that could go wrong with it. Sure enough, the FDA became the thing wrong with it. And I woke up one day and my business was shut down. And the way they did it was by banning the supplement that I was selling. And they just said, nope, you can't, no bank can process payments on this. That's how they did it. And so in a matter of, I went to bed, saw an order had come in like at 8:00 at night. The next morning, usually I had orders that came in just from different parts of the world overnight. And I woke up and there was nothing. I'm like, well, that's weird. That hasn't happened in a long time. And I went to go log into the merchant account and it was closed.
Damn.
And I went, oh, that's a problem. Yeah. And so from there, I moved into marketing, and it was always, well, I mean, I just still use virtual assistants for this. And so that's how I was introduced to it.
Mm-hmm.
The bigger question comes, well, how do you implement and how do you build systems? And the way to do that is not, well, is trial by fire, essentially, is how I kind of did it. I mean, I had multiple businesses that failed. Mm-hmm. And I had an agency, and we had, 27 US employees, and we had desks and fancy, ergonomic chairs and computers and, the lifters for the monitors so that nobody had like neck cramps and all the stuff that you have to have with with local employees and all the things that can go wrong with it. And that business ended up not doing well. And so we closed down the company. A lot of reasons beyond that. Closed down the company, and I relaunched only using virtual staff. And we went from 0 to 100 grand a month, 109,000 a month in 4 months. And then I went, okay,
that's fast.
I think I figured this out. And so then in another few months, we doubled, and I went, okay, I got it. And I know exactly what to do. Then we rolled that into other businesses, and I went, okay, I can replicate this. And that's when we started really like dialing in those processes.
Yeah, got it. So I'm sure at this point in time, or soon after this, people who know you, people who were connected to you at some level are like, man, what the hell is Joe doing? Because it's clearly working. And they start knocking on your door saying, hey, could you maybe help us?
Yeah. Well, and the interesting part was we were sort of already kind of helping a few people. Mm-hmm. And then after we had like really like kind of done well a couple times with some businesses with my agency, which ironically is like in the wedding industry. So totally random. But after I'd done it and I went, I think I got the process down. I think I know how to do it. And then I said, why don't I just, instead of giving away all these secrets on hiring virtual assistants, instead of giving away the secrets on how to do everything, why don't I just build a business around it? And it technically wasn't even my idea. One of my VAs came to me and said, hey, you should build a business because you keep telling everybody, but you could support people. And I said, all right, let's do it. And so we pulled the trigger. We did it. We used the exact same model that we'd already created. And then that business exploded. And that went, and then when COVID happened, everybody really outsourced. And then we just grew, exponentially.
Yeah. I know a handful of people at this point in time in my career who have either started or run a very successful VA agency. And some of the things that these guys are pulling off and the way that they're leveraging these virtual assistants to help them, not just in their businesses, but also in their personal lives.
For sure.
Blew my mind on some of the things I heard.
Yeah.
So I've used virtual assistants in the past. I still have one that I currently work with right now in my consulting company. But what does this look like from you? Let me backtrack here because I want to ask a really important question for those who are like thinking, hey, it's time for a VA. In my experience, when I've hired a VA, the onboarding of that person, the training of that person is almost more important to have it nailed and done properly than to have a stateside employee who you see face-to-face daily.
Only because of access, and it's not even access because with Zoom and everything else that you can do, there is no lack of access. What you get is the lack of frequency because you're not running into them. You don't look out your office and see them sitting there. So for a lot of people, it's like one added layer of effort to actually go, okay, I need to get in contact with my team member. I have to actually like make it a point to DM them, get them on a Zoom. That feels like a little bit more work than just like walking out your office to go see that person. And that's the only difference.
Yeah.
The training side of it, I think the biggest issue that most people run into is the communication breakdown.
Yep.
All you have to do is communicate effectively. But even when somebody's sitting next to you locally, most people don't communicate well.
Yeah.
And so we harp on our clients and we make sure that they are very, very understanding. You just have to document things. You have to communicate very effectively. You have to set boundaries and set expectations and then remind everyone of those things. Remind yourself of what your expectations are. You're hiring somebody for a reason. Make sure that you're setting the expectation properly so that you get the most out of that person. They want to do well for you.
You do.
The problem is when they don't know what to do or what to expect, they can't perform well. And then that's when everybody goes, well, it's tough to hire somebody, a VA. And it's like, but it's not. You just kind of suck at managing your people.
Yeah.
And if you get better at that, you can have an entirely outsourced, team.
Yep. I agree. So one of the things I run into a lot, and I do a lot of coaching consulting in and around the operations side of business. It's my area of genius. And I've operated there for a long time. I find that most business owners tend to be more of a visionary than an integrator, and they have trouble getting this story, this vision, this picture that they have in their head out and communicating it effectively to explain it to others what they're like, hey, this is the vision I have. This is where we're going as a company. This is what I expect it to look like when we get there. This is where we are now. These are the pieces that I allow. These are the pieces I don't allow. They have trouble with that form of communication. And part of what I do is go in and yank that information out of their heads and then help them implement systems and processes and then bring on the right team needed in order to effectively delegate the stuff to. Right.
So you're an integrator.
Yeah, I am. Hardcore integrator, top to bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. And prior roles, I spent 22 years as a custom car audio installer. And that was like lifetimes ago, I feel. That, and I've said this countless times in this podcast. In the car stereo business, we were integrating aftermarket electronics into a factory electrical system.
Yeah.
So the thought process, the reasoning, the problem solving skills that I developed in that industry carried over into the business building area.
Right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
What's the biggest pain point you run into when someone comes to you and is like, hey man, I need a VA or a team of VAs. I want to roll them out into my business. Like, what's the biggest pain point you run into with those people where they don't necessarily know what they don't know? They don't know exactly what they need from you and your company.
It's mainly they're fearful because they're not great at delegating. And that's a muscle. They've got to exercise the muscle. And so one of the fastest ways to do that is to get what I would consider like an administrative assistant or an executive assistant and start with things that are somewhat easy and get used to just the process of like, okay, this person might be 3,000 miles away or, on the other side of the world from you. Like, get in the habit of how do you delegate things? How do you deliver a task? How do you communicate it properly? How do you set expectations in that communication? And when you start doing that and you get used to it with something super low risk, right? This isn't like business building and major roles within the company. You start with something simple. Like, can you answer my email? That's it. And the crazy part is one of the last things that people give up is their email.
The email.
You'll have entrepreneurs who will build entire companies, teams, and everything else, and they still check their own email and waste ungodly amounts of time. Yeah. And so I always say, like, just start with that first. Get things off your plate just a little bit at a time. We provide an SOP when people hire our team. We provide an SOP that teaches their VA and them how to give up their email inbox and let the VA do it. Yeah. The administrative assistant, and I will admit, that was my last thing I gave up because there was a piece of me, like everybody else has, the email inbox. It's private. It's mine, right? The stuff that comes in, it is mine. It's to me. It's important. And then when I finally was like, okay, how much comes in that is so important, nobody else can see it? How much really comes in? Nothing. Like less than 1/10 of 1%. Nothing. How much stuff comes in that's so opportunistic that only I could see it and touch it and do it? Nothing. What comes in your inbox? Junk and fires. Yeah. And that's 99% of everything. And so I'm like, okay, well, all right, let's have her try with one inbox. This one isn't as important. And all of a sudden she created my admin assistant, Martina, created an amazing process of creating priorities, answering emails as me, because she understood, what did I say? How did I say it? Why did I say it? So she got really good at that. Then she created SOPs. Then we moved on to the next inbox and the next one and the next one. And now I personally do not check email at all.
Love it.
2 times a day, I get a Slack message that says, hey, here's your priority inbox stuff. This is stuff you have to address. Yeah. And most of the time I grab my phone and I say, save this. And then she sends it. And that's my inbox.
People think it's you. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Love it. So you mentioned a couple of things there. You mentioned they're taking over your email, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah.
I sort of kind of did that at one point and then retracted. I'm guilty of it as all hell. And that's probably a lot of the integrator in me is to holding on to that
For
too.
Sure.
But the other tool that I have used and used very successfully is Slack. Now, let me give you some backstory on me. Yes, car audio business. 2009 started my second service-based business, and we got involved in installing GPS tracking and dash camera solutions in commercial vehicles.
Oh, cool.
Okay, so I'm a born and raised New Yorker. I was living in Long Island at the time, and started this business. And we were installing tracking devices for some really big companies like Verizon, AT&T, Teletrac, Navman, and my team was completely remote before remote was even a thing.
Yeah,
I didn't need a store because we weren't retail. I didn't need an office because all we needed was a laptop and a phone. And the work that we were doing was done at the customer's or the client's job site or their office or their maintenance facility, whatever it was. It's like, well, I don't need a physical place to go. So as we evolved and grew this team from me and a business partner to 26 or 27 full-time employees, there wasn't a single one of us who showed up at an office every day.
Right.
And this is prior to COVID. I left in 2020 is when I exited the company. So all the way up and through COVID, like we were kind of ahead of times because we're fully remote. We're hiring remote people. I had team members in Florida, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, Massachusetts. Like I didn't meet half of them.
Yeah.
Occasionally we'd run a meeting and people would come in and see us, but not everyone because they were so far away. So the question became, once the team grew to a certain size, we used to have a group text message. At the time I was using AT&T for a provider. And I think we got to like 9 or 10 people on the text message. And AT&T is like, you don't have room for another person. I'm like, oh, well, we just hired someone this morning and I'm trying to get them into the group text thread. Well, now my integrator brain goes into full overdrive. It's like, I got to go find a solution. And like now, hit the Googles and Slack pops up. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know Slack. I've played around with it before, but never really had a use for it. I get involved with Slack. All of a sudden, we got the whole team on it. Now, the coolest thing about Slack is you don't even need a paid account to use it and use it well.
Right.
So freebie account. As the company's growing, we've got this massive Slack account, and our communication is in there. It is effective and it is fast.
Right.
And one of the core values of that company and every company I've had since then, communication falls in place with one of the values. So we have to communicate. We have to communicate effectively, and more so because we're not sitting face to face. We don't see each other on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So any place that I've either come into and owned, operated, or run a company, or even consulted with at this point in time, we don't have a communication tool similar to, if not Slack, we're going to put one in place.
Right.
Because we have to centralize the communication. So this has also carried over to my work that I've done with virtual assistants. Right. Slack is the main communication channel that we use.
100%.
The other piece of the puzzle that I like to add to this, and I want to hear your take on it too, is we have to utilize and leverage some form of a task management tool to hold people accountable and show them what they have to do. And you can get real crafty with building out automated systems and stuff when you use one of these properly.
Yeah.
So for us, we love ClickUp, and it works well for us. The combination of ClickUp paired with Slack, paired with an email account, access to my CRM for my guy, like I don't need anything else. We're good to go.
Yeah. We use Asana for project management just because ClickUp didn't exist when we started it.
Yep.
I actually went to ClickUp. This is kind of a funny one. I went to ClickUp and said, "Hey, you're like the new, sexy slice on the block. Like, sell me to move over to you guys because it sounds like you have all kinds of awesome stuff. I'd love to move over." And we have hundreds and hundreds of people in our Asana. So it's not that there's just like a few people on a team, 20 something people, there are, multi-hundreds. And so I went to them and they said, well, based on how you use it, how you run your business, there's nothing that you could come here for. And I'm like, you're kidding me. And they were like, no, like it would cost you a lot and it'd be just all training everybody else to figure out how to use it. There's no point to come over. And I was like, okay. So Asana, it still is. So we use Asana, Slack, our CRM, we use High Level, and then, that's kind of it. Everything else is built in there, and that's it. We run our entire business through those platforms.
Same deal. So this is how we are here: High Level, Slack, and ClickUp.
Yeah.
And obviously there's more tools and other bells and whistles to do certain things, but those are and you add in Google Workspace as well. So those four tools are the main pieces of the puzzle that we use to operate companies. Now, I've used these in smaller companies, which I currently operate now. And I've also used these in larger companies that I've operated with, 30 plus employees.
Yeah. Yep. Exact same.
Yeah. It's scalable.
100%. It's easy. Yeah. And they talk to each other. You
they
can
do.
make automations out of it. Yeah. You can do everything. For sure.
That was the biggest piece of the puzzle for me. We were running on, like an SMTP email, which is a pain in the ass to set up unless you're an IT nerd, by the way.
Yep.
And I ran my install company on that for the longest time. So we start to integrate and develop new software platforms and processes. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, it would be so much easier if we could have our calendar integrated with our, and I was like, oh wait, isn't there a tool for that? Oh yeah, it's Google Workplace. And when I started doing the research on that years ago, it was like, wait a second. Google Calendar integrates with anything out there. Yeah. Why are we not on that platform? Yes, there's a cost associated to it, but you know what? That small cost, and at the time, I think the cheapest was $6 a month for an account, maybe even less. That right there more than paid for the time saved in the
100%,
bullshit back-end work that you have to do to jump through hoops to make things work.
Yep.
Yeah, love it.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get someone that comes to you and is like, Joe, I need some VAs. I've got that assistant in place right now. They're taking care of my email. They're handling the inboxes. They've got the basics done. Like they are my right hand, but I need people with, we'll call it more specialists to handle other things in the company. What's the process look like for you helping that business owner determine actually what they need?
The easiest thing is they go to our website and they book a call, and then they get with our team of consultants who genuinely just ask a boatload of questions.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing? What are you trying to do? What's your goal? What do you need? What areas of your business are you looking to bridge a gap? Whatever that might be. And we kind of talk through and figure out the best solution. And it could be something as simple as you got projects that just need to get done. We have what we call projects on demand. It's just buy a block of hours, farm out everything like as if it was Upwork or Fiverr. The only difference is you don't have to guess if anybody's good, right? Because we've already been doing this for, what are we at? We're at almost 180,000 projects.
Damn.
Almost 3 million hours of saved time that we've worked for clients. So things like that we can do on a project basis. But if you need somebody directly working within your business, we have dedicated VAs. So you get a dedicated VA that works directly in your business. They log in every single day to work directly with you, nobody else, and they become your team member. Yeah. And some people hire 1, some people hire 30. And we just, and we recruit based on your needs. We train up. Everybody actually gets trained on high level because it's kind of our core platform. So that is really, really helpful, but you can pick specializations. I need somebody who runs Facebook ads. I need somebody who does video editing. I need somebody who can, is a funnel builder, right? Yeah. All of those things we provide.
So what's it look like to work with you, from those, and I'm asking these questions for the people who are on the fence, who are like, man, I think I need a VA or a team of VAs. I'm kind of scared. I don't know what the process looks like. And that's the holdback because they don't understand the flow. Like, what does it look like to work with you guys? You book the call, you have the call. All right. We determined that, you need in your company, Mr. Customer, you're going to need 3-time VAs. These are the 3 that we suggest. Where does it go from there?
Yeah. Then as soon as you get to do a meet and greet where you actually get to get on a Zoom call and actually chat directly with the person, make sure you feel like, hey, this is a good fit. Yeah. I can see this guy work in our business, ask whatever questions you have to them. And then from there, you pick your start date. And then you go, I want them to start on Monday. Perfect. Then you're going to get started on Monday and they're going to log into whatever it is that you want them to log into. So your job from there is to set up accounts. If you need them to have an internal email account, set that up. Get them access to Slack or whatever internal tools you have. How are you going to communicate projects and tasks and things you need them to do? What's going to be your cadence? Are you going to do meetings? Are you going to do, quick huddles? Like what do you want to do to make your process effective? Right. And every business is so different in the way that they operate, but get those things lined up. And then the VA starts that day and they do a beginning, what do they call it? A start of day report, an SOD, and an end of day report, EOD. And so they do both of those. Hey, I'm in. This is what I got on my plate. This is what I'm going to get started on. Yeah. And if something's off, then the business owner can go, whoa, hold on. No, scratch that. I need you to do this. And then they go, cool, that's on my plate. And they get at it. And then at the end of the day, hey, here's all the stuff that I worked on. Here's what I got done. Here's where it is. Here's the link to it, whatever it is. And then that's the end of the day. And it's pretty simple. You guys, clients pay us directly. We handle payroll. We handle, medical. We handle all that stuff for them. And you just pay us a flat fee. And that's it.
Yeah. It seems to be the newer model I'm seeing with a lot of VA agencies, whereas, hey, I hire you, the agency, you put the correct team member in place, but I'm paying you directly for their payroll and so on and so forth. Right. So transparency here. And if people haven't figured this out, you're in business to make money. Like, duh, that's why we do business. So you're taking a percentage of that, which is, your profit. And then the rest of it is you're paying your team and you're giving them. One of the things that I love about this, for most of the people who I've talked to, and I got a good feeling from the couple minutes we spent together that you're a good human, right?
I hope so. I believe I am.
Yeah, me too. It's like you're giving these people, and I don't know where your VAs are located. They're probably not here in the US, I would assume, right?
Most are in the Philippines.
Okay, cool. That's very common. You're giving the people who are mostly in the Philippines a fantastic opportunity to do some work, get paid a very fair wage for the lifestyle in the area that they live in. And you're taking care of them above and beyond that too, I'm sure. Because you and I both know there's cultural differences in the way that they expect to be treated.
100%. So our model of, I should say this, my mission in business shifted, I don't know, 6-7 years ago through the business, because we figured out, there was so much pressure on, with a VA company, you have two sides to it. We have to recruit virtual assistants, people to work with us. We have to sell them on us and on the business and on the opportunity and all that. We have to negotiate their pay because we have to be able to create a margin, right? We have to make money. So we have that. And kind of the benefits is you come work with us, you're going to have a career. We're not transactional. We're not looking to have you come in for 30 days, do a few things and then go. No, you come and work with us. You're here forever. That's what we want. We want you to be with Level 9 Virtual forever. Okay, great. They've got that. They go, wow. Okay, that's awesome. Now we're talking medical benefits, all the stuff that we're adding to the table. Then we have the other side of the business, which we got to go get clients. We got to go get a business to want to buy our services so that we can marry the two. And now we get to take a sliver because staffing has low margin, high volume. So we take a sliver out of it to marry the two, manage, handle all. I mean, a lot of people don't realize this, but the labor board and all the labor codes and everything in some countries are a little wild. And I know of quite a few businesses who didn't take this into consideration. They're like, I just went and found somebody online and I hired this person, this and that. They file a labor dispute and this person's on the hook for some serious coin. And it happens. And so we cover all that. We've got the legal side of it put in place. But so having both sides of this business to kind of navigate and model, we marry the two, and we are in business to make money. But where our mission shifted was we spent so much effort, got to take care of the client, got to take care of the client, got to take care of the client. When we figured out all we got to do is take care of the VAs, seriously take care of the VAs, know their family, understand their values, know who they are and what they want. Yeah. They take care of the clients. And so our mission has shifted big time into creating impact with the staff that we hire in the Philippines and Latin America, wherever it is, really understanding who they are, what they're after, what their goals are in life. Maybe they want to work with us for 2 years and then go do their own thing. Sweet. We know their plan, and that's fine. And let's do something together. And so when we started doing that, we started to really understand the impact. In some of these countries that we hire from, one person can be creating an income working with us, but they feed 3 households under one roof. Yep. So our $1 that we're paying has such immense impact to so many people that we realize, like, wow, every time we bring on one person, the magnitude of the downline, the downstream effect is huge. Yeah. Then we find out, like, oh, this person's been working with us for 2 years and they have 8 family members who now work with us. And we're like, how many mouths do that feed? And you start to really understand the impact that just continues to grow. And then when you understand their culture and what they do and their contributions to their communities and their churches and everything else they're involved in, our dollar that we pay somebody goes so far. Yeah. And that became really the focus of our mission was we want to employ people and allow them to create an impact. And if we can serve clients and do well and really help people, awesome. The businesses are the byproduct of us doing right by other people.
Yeah.
And so we hire a boatload of people and make a huge impact.
Yeah. Love it. What's next for you, man? You got a lot of stuff done. You
Oh yeah.
investments, companies, you got people working for you. Like what keeps you focused on the future, and what's that look like for you?
As a family, we've got some pretty big aspirations. My core thing is that family comes first. So I don't touch anything in life, business, investments, projects, nothing, if it's going to disrupt my lifestyle, which means my children are first. I have never missed a single thing that they've ever been involved in. Not one, no meetings in the way, no trips in the way, nothing. And so that's, to me, I want to hold that true. I'll cancel a freaking opportunity to close a huge client if it's going to interrupt being with my kids for a sporting event. Yeah. So that's the big thing. So I don't do anything that's going to disrupt our lifestyle. That's number one. And then right now, the project we have on deck is Visitor Match, which I have in my bio here. But we kind of sold off some client roster over the past year, and I wasn't giving much attention to the business. And I was like, what am I going to do with it? And then I got this wild idea. I was like, I think that's the business to seriously grow this year. And so I'm on a mission to basically, it started like 3 weeks ago, relaunch the business essentially from zero to $100 million in revenue, to have a business that's on pace to generate 100 million in revenue by a year. So my goal is by the end of 1 year, so next September, we'll be at 8.3 million a month. And so it's a big endeavor, a lot of moving parts. Wow. And, but it also has to fit within my belief system, which is I don't miss kid stuff. I don't miss family stuff. I still want to build this big business, but it has to fit around my lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure.
And that means I snowmobile in the winter. We camp and we hike. We do all our stuff in the summer. And so those times I'm gone. And so what is going to make this successful is building my teams, the processes, the systems around it, so that it can scale whether I show up or not. And that's the big mission. So yeah, we're building a $100 million business in a year.
Love it. So here's some questions I got for you.
Yeah.
At this point in time in your career, you've done some really cool things and you're an accomplished individual. Are you still in the process creation implementation when you're doing these startups, or are you delegating that to your team?
It's still a lot of delegation, but the piece that I get into, so when I start something new, like Visitor Match is the last business no, that's not true. We still have one more. We have a vacation incentive company, but like the way that I start businesses is I go, okay, I've got this idea and we're going to sell this service to this particular niche market. And what we're going to do is the first thing that we have to do, no name, no brand, nothing. I need to go make contact with people in this niche. I do, because I'm the one who's got the vision, and I need to go sell them on what we're going to be selling and have them give me money, not tell me it's a good idea, not tell me this sounds awesome. I need them to give me money. And then when they do, and I have a fair amount of them, I'm like, okay, 20, 30 clients. I'm like, we have to fulfill this. So now how do we fulfill it? Okay, great. So here's the service we're going to create, we're going to offer. And now I have to build the team that will actually go through and create our fulfillment process. Okay, great. We've got that. Now what? Okay, now we need client retention, client success, and all those things. And we build that next. Now we have 20 clients, let's say, who are all paying us for something that doesn't technically have a brand. There's no name. We've built this fulfillment process. We've let them in kind of on beta. We're going to get you in at a discount because you're going to be one of our very first. And we work them through and we just go, look, we're going to work out the kinks with you. And you're going to get incredible service. We're going to bend over backwards, white glove the whole way because you're customer number one, right? And so we do that. And then as we build our process, we're just documenting the whole thing. We go, okay, great. Now we know what our fulfillment process looks like. How many people do we need? Okay, great. We need 2 people in this to make this work. Okay, I need 1 person in client, success until we hit this. I need somebody else over here to handle, operations. Okay, now we need somebody to prospect, advertising, sales, whatever that is. And we add all those things together. And then I go, cool, everybody's got it, run. And now I'm out. And that's how we've been building all of our processes. And right now, if anybody is interested, they can start following me on YouTube, because a few weeks ago, I literally put up the first video and said, hey, I'm going to build a $100 million business in a year. And I'm going to document the process. And I'm going to tell everybody what we did. And I'm going to show them how we built a logo, how we created our brand strategy, built a website, started our advertising, started our, whether it's prospecting, who we're targeting, how we're finding them, every single bit of it, I'm documenting the process. And so if anybody's interested, they can check it out as we kind of go.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's a wild one. We'll see how this plays out.
It is. Here's what I found. I hate to even say this, but it's just the damn truth. And this is a year of lots of truth surfacing, if we haven't noticed in the media.
Yeah, right.
There's a lot of people in the business, entrepreneur, influencer, guru space, whatever you want to call them, who talk a good game and have never once been able to show you what they've done to be successful.
For sure.
And it drives me fucking crazy.
It drives a lot of people crazy.
Yeah. I've always been the kind of guy where it's like, yeah, hey, this is what worked for me. Let me literally show you how I do it. Yeah. So I think that's a really good way for you to approach it. I think it's a good trait for you to have as a human being, as a fellow entrepreneur and business owner and leader. And dude, just keep it up, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's I agree with you. I'm tired of the fake gurus and the fake everybody. And so I kind of put my back against the wall and said, all right, we're going to build a business. $100 million business is nothing to joke about. 8 million a month is a lot. Right. And so I'm trying to go, okay, how can I put my back against the wall and kind of like open this up? I hate social media. I hate all that. That's why we're kind of like, let's do YouTube and let's just make a video, post it, make a video, post it. If somebody watches it and they get one little bit of information, they go, okay, cool. I can go implement that. Sweet. Okay, great. I helped one person. That's all that matters. Yeah. But I want to do this for the fact that sometime down the line, my kids are going to be like, remember when dad built that business and he didn't sacrifice anything with us? How the hell did he do that? Right. It's going to be there. It's going to be documented. We're going to talk about each aspect of it, what we're doing. And it's a really weird process for me because I don't remember to like grab my phone and go, oh crap, videotape this. I never remember. So it's like, oh, I got to go back. And then I got to be like, okay, let me show you our project management tool. And this is what I did. And so it's like an extra effort on top of what I'm already doing, which is a huge effort. And so anyway, so it's, hopefully people respect like how much of a pain in the ass it is. At the same time, I hope it provides value for somebody. Just one person would be awesome.
Man, it's just the same thing to be said when it comes to creating SOPs. You're that solopreneur, and it's like, man, I know I should have probably recorded myself doing what I just did because I'm about to hire a couple people or that VA, and I forgot to. Fuck it, we're just not going to record it. And then 3 weeks later, you're kicking yourself in the head because you're like, oh my god, this person's asking me these questions, and I just did this.
Yep, I've seen it so many times. Yeah,
love it, man. All right, so I got two final questions for you here before we wrap up. Number one, if you had to give one solid piece of advice to someone who is a new business owner, entrepreneur, or getting into a startup, what would it be?
Go fail really fast.
Yeah.
Go fail really fast. Get back up, do it again. The reason I can build so many businesses so fast, and we don't have any businesses that don't go from 0 to 100 grand in an instant, in a few months. We don't, because we're willing to go out and like Visitor Match. When we first launched, we had 30 clients in the first week because we just said, okay, this is the market we're going to go after. We're going to go ask, and then we're going to get people to come in, and then we'll figure it out. And we did that. And all of a sudden it was like, whoa, okay, that's a lot. Like, okay, we have serious money in the bank. We need to hurry up and like fulfill this. But we went out and we failed and we failed and we failed and we failed so many times that most people are still trying to figure out how to build their logo. And we've already collected, $100,000. And it's like, your logo doesn't matter. Your logo doesn't matter. So I would tell people, just go out and fail. Go get no's. Go get people to tell you to shut up, to, go get kicked in the teeth, get back up. And you're going to be so much further ahead than anybody you're competing with.
Yeah.
So fail.
Love it, man.
There you go.
Yep. All right. Final question. The
Yes,
good
sir.
old end of the podcast. Where can we find you?
Joe@visitormatch.com, Joe@level9virtual.com, Joe@joerare.com. That's it. Joe at any of my brands, and you're there.
Yeah. Yep. Love it, man. Dude, this has been awesome. I appreciate you coming in here and just sharing some of your experience, your wisdom, your knowledge, and just being very open about it. And I think this is going to help a lot of people who tune into the show. And I'm looking forward to get some feedback from those who do.
Awesome. I'd love to hear too. So yeah, tag me, shoot me a comment. Let me know if I can help in any way.
Yeah, for sure. This is going to go live, probably within the next couple of weeks, whatnot. And my team will let you know what goes on. They'll send you an email and you get all the data and the deets. We'll send you a Google Drive folder with all the assets that are in there.
Awesome.
I normally have this conversation after the recording, but I also want people to hear and understand the process and the system that we have in place, because this show just doesn't magically appear on iTunes and Spotify every week.
Yeah.
Like, there's things that have to happen in order to make it work. So
I'll add one thing at the end here is you said in the very beginning, we jumped through all the hoops and went over the hurdles and stuff to get on the show. For everybody out there, it wasn't me. I didn't do any of it. It was my assistant, Martina, gets me on podcasts. I've been interviewed on hundreds of podcasts, and I have never once asked anybody to do an interview. We have a process in our team that we know, hey, it's a good idea to get some branding. It's a good idea to get your voice out there and just share what we've done with the world. And so if you have an interest in doing that, that's another reason to get a virtual assistant to do it.
Wait, hold on a second here. So your process met my process and brought us together.
100%, man. 100%. Yep.
Love it, man. Hey, I appreciate you coming in today.
You got it. Good to see you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast. Make sure you head over to stepitupentrepreneur.com and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode of the Step It Up Entrepreneur Podcast.